Hi, I would like to offer a few thoughts on using circumstance and comparison to expand your anti-chart. Let me start with circumstance first. I found that I don't necessarily like using the template that the student workbook uses, the LTW student workbook gives. So I've developed kind of my own way, and I think that's fine. I think that we need the essence of, we need to understand the essence of what we're trying to do, and then use our own way to record our thoughts. With circumstance, you're asking, when and where and who and what. Those are the questions that you're trying to ask around your given issue. So you see before you an issue or a circumstance where the issue is whether Anne Marie should have taken the unknown package to Uncle Henrik. And so what I did is I started with the when. The when will pretty much usually, I imagine, always cover all the places, all the wheres and the who's and the what. So I just have one when, and that, what is the when? What's going on during the action and the circumstance. So it's early morning. I think it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's the end of September, just after a quote funeral during World War II. And then they teach us with circumstance to start with the most the closest proximity to the issue, and then work your way out as if you were, if you imagine concentric circles with the place, the immediate place, and then a little further out and a little further out. So that's what you see here with the wheres. So what I did is I did some wheres. I said, okay, you've got your trail through the woods to the boat. You've got the place that is where Uncle Henrik's boat is. Then you have the city or the town that they're in, Copenhagen. And then beyond that, you have Sweden, or you could even possibly do, I don't remember wherever father was, where Anne Marie's father was. And so then at each of those individual places, I looked at who was at those places and what they were doing. So Anne Marie was on the trail. She was cautiously walking and running on the trail through woods in the dark. And the German soldiers were in that area also patrolling the area. And I tried to use some strong verbs in my whats, because you're going to be doing that eventually anyways. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but I did put some verbs and adverbs in there. Then what's out a little beyond the trail, you have Uncle Henrik's boat. What's he doing at the boat? He's nervously waiting to sail. And then you have the Jews and so forth. And then you can, if you want to pause the video, you can take and look at and see what I've done. So I started with the when, and then I listed the wheres and worked my way out from further distance, and then who was at each of those places and what were they doing. And then you have comparison. I also broke away from the template given. I started with similars. You can compare with simple verbs are and have and do. So I thought about what I'm comparing Anne Marie and mother. I could compare several things, Anne Marie and Uncle Henrik. I can compare mother and Uncle Henrik. I can compare all kind of things inside or outside of the issue. And I listed some of the they ares, they haves, and they do's. And so I started with all the similars, and then I just, with no particular pattern, I went and looked at what was different between mother and Anne Marie, and I listed those. One of the things that you can do as you're listing the differences is look back at your similarities and see if you can find differences within those similarities. For example, they had the same relatives, but they had their relationship with, or they each had a relationship with the Rosens, but their relationship was different with the Rosens. That might be a simple example. And what you'll find is with the comparisons, a lot of the comparisons will go in your interesting column, whereas the circumstances are most likely to go in your affirmative or your negative. Okay? So I hope that helps a little bit.